Hey everyone, I have a few videos that I'm going to film today. Basically, I really want to do Vlogmas, and I was going to do 12 days of Vlogmas from the 14th until Christmas, because that would be, 12, and I wanted to end on Christmas. And I realized I didn't have enough ideas to do 24 videos, like most people are doing, I think. But then I realized I do have more than 12 ideas. So, I'm just going to start Vlogmas today and still go through Christmas. But, yeah, I have that many ideas, but I didn't have enough to do the full 24. So, anyway, the first video that I'm going to do for Vlogmas Day 1 is a November wrap-up. I filmed it earlier today, and I ended up making it far too long, so I'm going to try to cut things back a little bit. I read 3 things that I can show you, and then I read 4 things and listened to another thing that I just have to talk about rather than showing you, because I don't have them with me. And I'll start with those so I don't forget them. The first couple things were things where I accidentally participated in Read Kids Lit for November, which is a thing that Leslie from Words of a Reader has put on for the last, I want to say, 3 years-ish, and I wasn't planning on participating, and then I sort of accidentally did, because I ended up reading 3 picture books when I was in Barnes & Noble with my friend Ben, and then I also listened to an audiobook of a children's book, so I'll talk about the picture books first. The first was called Stuck, and I don't remember any of these authors' names, so I will have to put the information in the description. But Stuck is about this little boy who is flying his kite one day, and he really loves his kite, but then his kite accidentally gets stuck in a tree, and so the little boy decides he's going to throw things into the tree, or like at the kite in the tree to try to get the kite out of the tree. So he starts with, things that seem plausible and logical, like his shoe and a ball and things like that. And instead of knocking the kite out of the tree, they just get stuck in the tree. So then, a little bit later, he is like, oh wait, light bulb, I'll go get a ladder. So we, as the reader, think he's going to put the ladder against the tree and climb up the ladder and get his kite that way. But no, he chucks the ladder into the tree, and the ladder gets stuck too, and that's where the implausible stuff starts happening. There's a part towards the end where he ends up somehow, I think he went and got the Titanic out of the ocean and threw the Titanic, and the Titanic got in the tree too. And then same with like a fire truck and a fireman and like a baker, and there's just all these things and all these people and animals stuck in this tree. And it was really funny and really cute. Like, I was laughing so hard. And I'm not going to tell you guys the ending because that's the funniest part, and I highly recommend that you read it because it's a really cute children's book. And then the other one, that these 2 that I'm talking about first were both recommended by Ben. And the second one is called This Is Not My Hat, I think. And this is about a tiny little fish in the ocean who goes by a whale and sees that the whale is wearing this really awesome bowler hat. I can speak, I promise. And yeah, so he decides to steal the bowler hat from the whale, and he's like, oh, the whale's not going to notice because he's so big and this hat's so small, he's not even going to feel that it's missing. And of course the whale does notice that it's missing, and he's like, oh, well, even if the whale notices it's missing, he's not going to know that it's me who took it. And then the whale does realize that the little fish is the one who took it. And then he said, oh, well, even so, I'm going to tell this crab where I'm going to go hide, and the crab's not going to tell the whale where I'm going, and then the crab does tell the whale, and so on and so forth. And it's just really cute. I really enjoyed these illustrations for this one. They were really, really simplistic but pretty. So yeah, I really like both of those. And then one that I had to read for myself when I saw that it was in the store I didn't even realize this was out. I think it's a newer release, is If You Give a Mouse a Brownie, which is the, I want to say, 5th or 6th picture book in one of my favorite children's picture book series, which is the If You Give a Mouse a Cookie series. My grandparents used to read us If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, and by us I mean me and my brother, pretty much every time we were over there. Over at their house when we were little, they would read us that one and The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. And then when we were teenagers, our grandparents decided to do a really sweet, cute thing for Christmas, where one Christmas they gave one of us the copy of The Giving Tree and the other the copy of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. I think I ended up with If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, and my brother ended up with The Giving Tree. And then over the years, we've also read some of the other ones. I think my brother actually has If You Give a Pig a Pancake, and my mom gave both of us If You Take a Mouse to the Movies, which was like the holiday special version of the book, or version, not version, just one in the series, I guess. And so that one had like the mouse plus the movies plus Christmas, so 3 of my favorite things. And yeah, it's just a really cute series. And I think the other one in the series that I've left out is If You Give a Moose a Muffin. And I think, yeah, so I think those are the 5 or 6 that are out. And yeah, I've read If You Give a Moose a Muffin, but I've never owned it. So yeah, it's just a really cute series, and with the original one, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, it starts with, oh, if you give the mouse a cookie, he'll want a glass of milk, and then the milk will make him think of this, which will make him think of this, and it just goes on until it goes full circle back to the cookies and the milk. And same with this newer one, except it's with a brownie and ice cream, so it's like, oh, if you give a mouse a brownie, he'll want some ice cream to go on top, and then the ice cream will make him think of a cone, and then the cone will make him think of a carnival, and then the carnival will make him think of this, and like all these things. I'm probably getting the things wrong, but anyway, it's just a really cute series, and I love it. So I really liked that one. And then the audiobook that I listened to was Fortunately the Milk by Neil Gaiman. It's illustrated by Scotty Young over here, and then in the UK it's illustrated by Chris Riddell. And I have read the book, like the physical form of the book. I read it when it first came out. I got it out of the library, and I loved it, and I really need to get my own copy. But for now, I just have the audiobook, and I love the audiobook because even though you can't see the pictures, Neil Gaiman is narrating, and the way that he writes, you really don't even, like, the pictures in his books are awesome, especially when they're illustrated by, like, Scotty Young or Dave McKean or people like that, but you really almost don't even need the pictures when you're listening to the audiobook because the way he describes things are just so rich. And also it helped that I had seen the pictures, so it was just really easy to picture everything happening in my head. And it's one of my favorite children's books. It's one of my favorite children's books, but also one of my favorite children's books by Neil Gaiman, probably tied with Graveyard Book. And then, but maybe even a little bit more, like, I might even like it a little bit more just because I do listen to it all the time. So yeah, I just really love it, and I listen to it maybe, like, I want to say at least 4 times a month, just because it's only about an hour long, so it's perfect to listen to when I have a chore that I have to do for an hour, like if I'm getting ready in the morning and then I'm eating breakfast or like anything like that. So yeah, I really love it. And so those 4 books were the reason why I accidentally participated in Read Kids Lit for November. And then the other book that I don't have with me, because I actually lent it to Ben after he, or while he was here, I lent it to him to take home, and that was Weird Sisters by Terry Pratchett, which is the 6th book in the Discworld series, because basically Ben and I have this thing now where I will just read whatever Discworld book I have next, and if I happen to own it, I will then lend it to Ben to read. He still hasn't started the Discworld series, but he wanted to, like, gather enough of them to, like, try to decide which one to read first. So yeah, hopefully he'll do that soon so we can start talking about them. But this one is the 6th book in the series overall, and it's the first one in the Witches subseries. And I really, really enjoyed it. I tried to start it a couple times before, and I just, I tried to start it as my starting point for the Discworld series overall, and that just really didn't work, because turns out Hogfather was my way into loving the series, which, it's different for every Discworld fan. And I finally actually read it this time, in the proper chronological order, and I started it back in March originally, and then had other things that I just wanted to read instead. So this time, I actually finished it, and I really, really liked it. This one is a parody. It's basically a giant Shakespeare parody. It introduces you to the Coven of Witches, which, it's kind of, this one is a major parody of Macbeth, and it's also kind of a combo parody of Macbeth, Hamlet, and King Lear, and also just a lot of other Shakespeare references thrown in throughout. And so I would definitely say that it helps a lot to like Shakespeare and to at least be familiar a little bit with the plots of those 3 plays. I had actually never read King Lear, so it took me a little while to pick up on which part of the story was actually the parody of King Lear. But there was one aspect of the King Lear story that I remembered from a synopsis, so that's kind of how I realized what was going on. But yeah, so it was really, really good with the Shakespeare references, and it's very funny. I love the interactions between Granny Weatherwax, Nanny Ogg, and Magrat Garlick, who make up the coven. Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Ogg are both very set in their ways, and they have sort of different ways of doing things and dealing with things, and they both have really funny, sort of different senses of humor. So there are a couple times in the book where they butt heads, and Magrat Garlick is so cool. I love her because she actually is not necessarily the mediator, but she's the one who's like, whoa, whoa, ladies, let's calm down. So yeah, I just really love the interactions between the 3 of them, and all the Shakespeare stuff. And of course, Death. Death is the best character in Discworld, in my personal opinion. He is my favorite, and I really, really like him in this book. So yeah, I really loved that one, and I would say overall it's somewhere in the middle as far as being, as far as how much I like it. Sorcery is my absolute least favorite that I've read so far of the 7, and it was still pretty funny, but probably my least favorite. Then Equal Rights, and then somewhere in the middle is Weird Sisters and Color of Magic and Light Fantastic, and then my 2 favorites that I've read so far are Hogfather, of course. I don't think that will ever not be my favorite, and Mort, which are the first book in the Death subseries and the 3rd or 4th. I think Hogfather is the 4th book in the Death subseries. So yeah, really, really liked it and highly recommend. And I will go ahead and talk about the books that I actually did read. I mean, not books that I actually did read, books that I can show you that I read. There we go. That's what I was talking about. Okay, so first off, I read The Restaurant at the End of the Universe by Douglas Adams. This is the direct sequel to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There are 5 books in the trilogy. That's the joke. I love it. But anyway, this is the one that comes immediately after the first one. And I really enjoyed this. I can't say I enjoyed it as much as the first one, but I don't think that will really be true for any of them. I think the first one will always be my favorite, but this one was a very, very close second. My 2 favorite parts, there was a very funny part where Arthur is trying to explain to the nutrition system on the ship how to make tea, and so the computer on the spaceship ends up focusing all its energy on trying to figure out how to make Arthur a proper cup of tea, and at the time an enemy is coming towards them, and the ship's computer should really be focused on keeping the ship's shields up, but instead it is trying to figure out how to make Arthur tea. So I thought that was hilarious. And then also there's a very funny part at the actual restaurant at the end of the universe that involves a cow, but I'm not going to tell you anything more about that part because it's a part that you really have to read for yourself to realize how funny it is. And I was laughing so hard at that part. So yes, I very highly recommend this, and I specifically recommend listening to the audiobook as well as reading the physical copy, because the audiobook is narrated by Martin Freeman, who played Arthur Dent in the Hitchhiker's Guide film, and he actually narrates all 5 of the books, I think, and at least 4 of them are on YouTube. I know the first one for me, I listened to the one that was narrated by Stephen Fry, who was also in the first film, the only film actually that has been made. So yeah, very, very good. Highly recommend. And then next we have this one I'm just going to talk about briefly because I need to do a separate review of it, and that is David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. This is my 4th complete Dickens novel that I have read / listened to, and I read my physical copy as well as listening to the audiobook narrated by the wonderful, perfect Richard Armitage, who, okay, basically, like, I have known for years that Richard Armitage is a great actor. Like, he is an amazing actor. He's probably one of my favorites. But I had no idea how good he was at narrating until my friend Jenny told me about the classic love poems that he narrates on Audible. So I got that the day that it was free on Audible, which was Valentine's Day. You know, perfect. And it was awesome. So ever since then, I've tried to get my hands on anything that he narrates. And so, of course, I snatched this up with, when I found out that he was doing a narration of David Copperfield, I snatched that up with one of my credits, and I waited a while to listen to it, but it was totally worth it. He does such an amazing job because he makes each of the characters' voices so distinct and different, and it was awesome because I was never confused about which character I was trying to listen to, or which character was speaking. And I think that's awesome because there are some people who, when they narrate audiobooks, they just don't really differentiate voices very well. And that's the difference that I've noticed between some narrators and then actors who narrate. Actors who narrate, I've noticed, always make much more of an effort to do very specific, different voices. Don't get me wrong, I have some favorite narrators who have never been actors, who are still amazing narrators, but that's just kind of something I've noticed with some narrators who are not actors, is that they don't make really an effort to make the voices distinct enough so that you don't get confused as to which character is speaking, and this was perfect. And my favorite was he gave Betsy Trotwood a Scottish accent, and it was perfection. Like, so good. So yes, this is probably tied for my favorite Dickens novel that I've read so far with Nicholas Nickleby. And honestly, I think when I reread Nicholas Nickleby, this will end up surpassing it. I'm not totally sure. I'm hoping to reread Nicholas Nickleby next year, so we will see. But definitely a favorite, and I'm so happy that I finally read it and listened to it, and I highly, highly recommend the audiobook because it was a complete joy. And I'm going to do a more in-depth review of this as a different Vlogmas video, so stay tuned for that. And then last but not least, I reread, and listened to Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. This was a long time coming. I was supposed to, first I was supposed to reread this last year. That didn't happen. Then I was supposed to read this in October. Didn't happen. finally reread this month, or I should say last month in November, and it's amazing. This was the first Austen novel that I ever completed. I think I was about 16, and I love it. And every time, this is probably only my third time rereading it, because I also reread it for my Austen class, my senior year of college. But anytime I do reread it, even though that's only been 2 times at this point, I still feel that same nostalgic feeling of reading it for the first time. And especially now that I'm older, I can see more clearly just how much like Catherine Morland I feel. The 2 Austen heroines that I relate to the most are Catherine Morland and Eleanor Dashwood from Sense and Sensibility, which is one of the reasons why Sense and Sensibility is my favorite, and one of the reasons why this one is my second favorite. And also Henry Tilney is my favorite, my third favorite Austen hero, and as a couple, Henry Tilney and Catherine Morland are my all-time favorite Austen couple. Like, there are Austen heroines and Austen heroes that I like better, separately, but together they are my favorite all-time Austen couple. And I listened to the audiobook narrated by Juliet Stevenson, and I had listened to her narration of Daniel Deronda earlier this year, and she is another actress who does a really, really good job of narrating audiobooks. Oh, and I should have said the same thing for Martin Freeman as well when I was talking about Restaurant at the End of the Universe. So, yeah, this was really, really good, and it reminded me why it is my second favorite Austen novel. I really, really love this. And I am also going to make a selling point to you guys real quick. I just finished watching the Cate Morland Chronicles, and that show actually ended today. It is a literary web series adaptation of Northanger Abbey that started over the summer, and they did a wonderful, wonderful job of adapting this. I kind of liked it a little bit better than Northbound, which was a web series of this that came out last year. I really, really love them both because they're the first, it's the first time that this book has actually been successfully adapted into a literary web series, because I've been basically waiting for this after seeing some for Pride and Prejudice and Emma and Mansfield Park and Sense and Sensibility. So now I'm just waiting for a really good Persuasion one. But anyway, they're both very good, but I think I just ended up liking the storyline a little bit better for Cate Morland Chronicles, even though I thought the acting was amazing for both. And just, oh my gosh, the interactions between Catherine Morland, called Cate in this, and Henry Tilney were just awesome, and how they modernized the characters, and just how they modernized the whole storyline. It was great. So yeah, I highly recommend this book, and then I highly recommend watching that adaptation on YouTube. So yes, that was everything I read in November. Really good reading month, kind of less than I would have wanted, but also one of my better reading months for the whole year, so that's good. Let me know what you guys read in November. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.